There we go. Well, welcome in everybody to another live show here, question and answer. And we have a special guest, Mark from Gamble Smart, is joining us today. So welcome in. We're both here to tackle your questions to help educate you guys to make you better slot players, hopefully start making some more money at the casino. So welcome in everybody. If you could, go ahead, start lining up those questions. And also, going to put a link there in the not the video description, but a link in the chat for Mark's channel. I can barely talk.
You've been recording too many videos lately.
I've been recording way too many.
I get lately. It. Totally get it.
Just got back from Vegas, ready to just relax and get back into it. So
I hear you.
Anyway, good Mark, stuff. How have you been? It feels like it's been forever since we've had.
It has been forever, hasn't it? Yeah, we've all been really busy with everything. No, we're doing great. Thank you for having me on. You mentioned it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, hey, that'd be fun to kind of check in and see how everybody's doing over here. But yeah, it's good to see everybody. I see already a lot of familiar faces in here. I know a lot of you probably already subscribed to Gamble Smart, so we appreciate it very much. And of course, appreciate Brantley for letting me come on. And yeah, this will be fun, man. I love Q&A.
Yeah,
you know that. I like to ramble on and on and on, so you might have to cut me off, just like Dave has to. But we'll get you educated today, guys. We got some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's dive right in. So guys, keep lining up those questions. We'll try to take as many as possible. We're broadcasting right now on YouTube, Facebook, and X. So a lot of different platforms out there to try to manage. But we got, we'll just take this one right here from Kim. First one I saw. Do you prefer Dragon Link or Dollar Storm, and why? I think that's a question we can both tackle, Mark. For me, I will say this. Dollar Storm is rough. It is a rough game. It feels like it is much harder to get the bonus on Dollar Storm than it is on Dragon Link. So for me, I would have to go Dragon Link. Also, the bet amounts on Dollar Storm tend to be a little bit higher and a little bit different to try to really get anything lucrative out of the game. But I'll let you take it away, Mark, on this one. You tell us which one and why.
No comment, because I don't play either one of them. No, in seriousness, I really don't. I mean, I do play Dragon Link every now and then. It's just, I don't know. The hold and spin stuff is just, it's not my bag. I don't get a whole lot of entertainment out of them, so I'll play it anytime somebody asks me to do it. But I mean, I couldn't tell you which is better between either one of those, because I just don't play it enough to render, opinion on it. But who knows? Things are changing. Maybe I'll get into it, but right now I just kind of stay away from those.
It's kind of hard to avoid Dragon Link nowadays. They're in almost every casino.
It's
Everybody's playing now.
It's definitely true.
Yeah.
And then I feel so dirty because of the whole, don't feed the dragons thing that we started forever ago. It's like,
right.
I feel like somebody's going to come around the corner and take a picture of me and say, look what the hell Mark's doing over there playing dragons, like after years of telling us not to. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's those just aren't the games for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I'll let you grab the next one if you want.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we'll just.
There's a bunch of good questions in here. Yeah, a bunch of good questions already.
Yeah. So, Diana says, "How do you know how much to tip on a hand pay?" So the general rule is like 1% to 2%. It's crazy because somebody asked this question on our live stream last week, and somebody said that they give 20%. I'm like, holy sh! Can I cuss on this one? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I was going to say. 20% is outrageous for a slot jackpot tip, unless you hit like millions of dollars. But even then, I still wouldn't do 20%. I think the general rule is 1% to 2%. You win $1,200, give them a 10. It's just, and then I gauge it based on how well that first hand pay experience goes. Like if they come back quickly and efficiently, they come to you very quickly, then I might give them 2% or 3% if they're friendly, things like that. But if I'm waiting forever, which I've been to some that it's just like, I mean, it's like 10 minutes. You're like, maybe I should go find somebody because they haven't come. No tip for them. And I understand that they're busy and stuff like that, but your tipping is completely optional when it comes to getting a hand pay. So it's like, I feel like it needs to be some kind of better experience, overall. But if they come and apologize or like, look, I had like 6 hand pays in front of you, fine, I'll give them a tip for that, But sometimes it's just they're understaffed and things like that. So, yeah, don't give 20%, guys. That's way too much.
Yeah. No. Hey, if you are going to give 20%, give it to the IRS.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. That's
oh
right.
My goodness. Let's see. Teresa has a question here. Do you think using your player's card has any bearing on winning? No, it does not. This is guys, this is an age-old myth, and I always put it like this. There's absolutely nothing that you guys can do to manipulate a slot machine in any way. And in fact, not using your player's card is just screwing you in the long run. It's screwing you on your win-loss statement. It's screwing you on your Theo. It's screwing you out of benefits. I always tell the story of there was a lady at one of the casinos that I worked at. She was a heavy player and she didn't like to use her card at all. And one day she came in and she's like, why don't I ever get free play? Why don't I ever get rooms comped or free food? Well, it's because you're not using your card. The card has no connection to the actual game portion, the logic portion of the device of the machine. There's not anything that any manufacturer would ever build into a game that could give a player an advantage or a disadvantage by using something or doing some kind of a special trick like taking their card in and out. So if you hear something like this, it's an age-old myth. Use your card. Use your card. It'll be better for you in the long run.
Absolutely. Zachary has a good question. On link games, is there advantage to playing a maxed out major? The only advantage is that you're going to get the highest amount possible on that progressive. But just because it's maxed out doesn't mean that it's due anytime soon. I hear so many people say this. You got to play the maxed out majors because they're going to hit. It's got to hit soon. It's like, well, it's got to hit, but it doesn't have to hit soon. And it's funny because I've heard the opposite of that. Oh, you got to hit the ones that just hit because that means they're more frequently to hit. No. On all of those, the majors, the grands, every single spin, same odds of hitting those progressives based on what you're wagering. But, you know, if you have like Dragon Link or Dragon Cash, if you've got 10 machines in front of you, they all have different majors, and one of them's capped out and the rest aren't, you better believe you want to sit down and play the one that's capped out because it's like, why not? If you're going to hit it, hit the maximum amount that you possibly can. So think of it that way. Good question, Zachary.
Yeah, very good question. Let's see. You know, there was a kind of a question that goes along with this, and I'll take this one here. Sin City Kino lady has a question. In the long run, does it take longer to hit a grand on a link machine, or if you just play $1 as opposed to playing $50 a spin? So this is a good question. First, always want to preface with this is stay within your budget, stay within your means. Do not overbet thinking that you're going to have a bigger advantage, because the thing is you're going to burn through your bankroll pretty dang quick. Nothing is ever a guarantee on slots. Nothing's ever a guarantee gambling in general. But how that works is obviously the higher that you bet. So like, let's say your prize amount is here. So your grand amount is here. The higher that you bet, the closer, if you can close that gap, then you're going to have a slight advantage. Yes, but it does not mean it's a guarantee. It does not mean it's going to happen for you. It doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. So the most important thing, and that's what a lot of people get caught up in, is thinking I have to bet big to win big. Is that statement true? If you have the money, it's true. But if you don't have the money and you're pushing your budget beyond your means, it can be pretty dangerous, and you can wind up on the losing end pretty dang quick. And I'll let Mark chime in on this one as well.
I'll make it very
because I know you're wanting to.
Well, there's really only one thing to say is don't play the game for the progressives.
Exactly.
Ever. The only time it makes sense is if it's a must-hit buy, and it's past that theoretical like threshold where it's a positive expected value. That is the only time that you should play for the progressive only. All the other progressives, just play for the base game. And if you end up getting a progressive, awesome, right? But don't play it because of that. It's just a slippery slope. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well said.
Don't play for the progressive.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Jay has a good question. With dancing drums, is the bonus win already determined before I touch which amount of free games I want? No, it is not. You are picking the volatility, what kind of risk that you want inside of those bonus games. So you can either have, of course, very low number of spins, but high maximum amount of pay lines. I think on Dancing Drums it's like, 7776 or something like that. Yeah. Or on the other side of the spectrum, you have a lot of free games, like 15, but not very many lines. And then there's stuff in the middle. So, and then the dreaded mystery, which I totally advise people to stay away from because it's heavily weighted on the lower end. You're picking the volatility of the free games that is about to come out. How risky do you want to be? Consider some things like getting 3 spins is incredibly risky. You could get nothing at all on those 3 spins, or you can get a gigantic, gigantic line hit, which I've had before. I'm sure Brantley has too. I mean, you could get those, but you have to get it within 3 spins. But if you got 15 spins, you might get re-triggers. You're more likely to get re-triggers because you have 15 spins to get those in, things like that. So you pick. But the end result, the end dollar amount has not been determined yet. The only time it has been is when you're picking the pots for the progressives. That is predetermined, but not the free games. A good question, Jake.
Exactly. Yeah, very good question. Mickey has a question here. Does the game know if you're using free play or cash? The game does know, but it makes no difference on the effect of the game. That's the quick and easy way to sum that up. It knows for accounting purposes, for the accounting record, but it does not know in terms of how the game is going to play or anything like that. And since that was a short answer, I'll take another question here from Tommy Tickets. Is Super Hot Flaming Pots more volatile than the original Big Hot Flaming Pots? This is a good question. So anytime that there is a new feature added to a game, typically they have to make the math work in some way. So they'll take something away to add something else. Now, Hot Pots is an interesting one. Mark, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the pay table on the original Hot Pots and the Super Hot Pots is actually the same. But what Ethan noticed, Ethan actually noticed this when he was going through and doing editing, is the bonus amounts on, since you have the super feature now, and the super feature makes everything ×2, the actual ball amounts or the, bow bun amounts, whatever, are lower on the new Super Hot Pots because you have that potential to have the super feature to multiply it, so the amounts are actually lower. So we're thinking that that's where they got the ability to add the super feature in. Other than that, the game pretty much plays the same. And I like both versions. I like the new Super Hot Pots. I think it's a lot of fun, especially if you get that super feature. But is it more volatile? It is, but it's not a huge jump. It really isn't. When you compare it to some of the newer games that are coming out, again, we like to try to compare everything, by the classification. So, you take Super Hot Pots and you compare it to another game that just came out, the volatility is actually not too bad as compared to the original. Now, it's still a volatile game, but in terms of volatility difference, is it higher? Yes, but only by a very little bit. I recommend both games. I really like both of those. I don't know, Mark, how you feel about that, but
it's growing.
How you feel about both of those? I like them both. I like them.
Yeah, the members on our channel are always trolling us about Hot Pots because they know that I don't necessarily like those games, and they are always asking us to play them because they're fun. They are fun. I had it here at the house and I played it for a while, and it's fun. Yeah, it's growing on me, but I'm not a huge fan of it just yet.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Let's see. This is a good question. I didn't really read it all the way, but Paragon21 says, I hear that all slot games go through rigorous testing from a third-party test lab. Yeah, that is true. Is this true? If so, can you elaborate on this process? So there's actually 2 entities that test. I can't remember off the top of my head which 2 they are, but they are not related to the manufacturer and they're not related to the casinos. And what they're testing is the RNGs that are produced by that manufacturer and also the game mechanics, and making sure that the RNG is as random as it possibly can be, but also that the gameplay ends up in the theoretical payback percentage setting that it has for each of the different games. And so this is all part of the process, right? And I'm glad this exists. A lot of people don't think it does, but this is an entity that has nothing to do with the manufacturers and the casinos. They're kind of a middleman that sits in the middle and says, is this game ready to be deployed on a casino floor? Is it sound enough? Now, do they miss some things? Sometimes things slip through. It's very rare these days. I mean, it used to be a little bit more of a problem like in the late 90s and such, but now, because of that testing, and there's 2 different facilities that are doing the testing, it's gotten a lot better. And I think it's important that people understand that this stuff goes on, because a lot of people feel like casinos can just monkey with machines and do whatever they want with them, decide who's going to win, who's not going to win, all that kind of stuff. And they really can't, man. They have to go through and Brantley knows this too, but let's say that they develop a new game, IGT or whatever manufacturer develops a new game, and then partway through the process they realize, oh, we forgot something. They have to start all over, all the way at the very beginning, and get it tested internally again, and then they have to send it off and get it tested with these entities again and things like that. So even the minor change, like even, I don't know if volume or not volume, but if it's a sound, music sound, maybe not so much that, but if there's anything with the game mechanics that has to change for whatever reason, they have to go through the same process all over again. But a fun fact, what speeds up the process is if they take a game that was already certified and just put it on a new cabinet. So if you have like Top Dollar or Double Top Dollar, anything like that, those games have not changed. The math is the same. The probabilities are the same. They can kind of fast forward through that process and just put it on the new cabinet because the programming itself has not changed. But if there's any change to it, they add more lines, they add progressives, whatever, it's going to have to go through that process. Very good question, though. I've never heard that question before, but I think it's important people understand that.
Yeah, sometimes there's some good new questions that we get in here.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see here. All right, Kim says, do you think it's better to bet a lower denom with a higher multiplier or a higher denom with a lower multiplier? This is a good question, Kim, and it's one that there's two main things that go along with this. You know, Mark, you know what the first one I'm going to say is. Budget is, of course, number one. What do you have the budget to do? But the second one is read the game rules because it is very specific. Let me give you two examples. So, Mystery of the Lamp. If you look at the game rules on Mystery of the Lamp, it specifically states the denom matters more in a nutshell. So the higher the denom, the better the chances are. But you look at a game like Piggy Bankin' and it says the higher the multiplier, the better the chances are. So there's a lot of, and there's other aspects that come into play with that, of course, but it is very game specific. So as long as you're sticking within your budget, always review the game rules to see, because not all games are similar when it comes to which is better, denom or bet multiplier. Mark, do you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I mean, that's all. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I really don't have anything else to add to that.
Check your game rules and your budget.
Check the game rules. Yeah, make sure you're not. Make sure that you're not losing out on anything.
Exactly.
You got to bet enough to make sure all the features of the game are covered. It's absolutely critical that you guys do that. And believe me, I see so many people, especially with Top Dollar.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
You got 10. You're supposed to bet 10 in order to get the scattered Top Dollar on the third reel. I see people betting 7, 9, 4, 3. I'm like, you're killing your potential return on that game by doing that. Read the game rules, understand the mechanics, know what you need to bet to cover all available features on the game. And that's including progressives. I mean, you really need to cover everything because that's how the payback percentage is figured out, assuming that you have covered all the features of the game. So if you're not, you're losing out.
Yeah, good question, Kim. Very good question.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Let's see. Joseph has a good question. Is there any value to following a 5-spin slot hopping method to make a low bankroll last longer than casinos, such as with a $20 to $100 budget? Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's talk about 5-spin here. So one thing people need to understand is that you cannot test a machine to see if it's a winning machine or not. That is not possible. The only way you could do that is if you did 1 million pulls on a machine or 100,000 pulls on a machine, and then did another 100,000 on the machine next to it, and then you can kind of see what the payback percentage difference might be on those games. But within 5, 10, 100, 500, 1,000 spins, you're not going to know. But what you can do is, well, let me back up a little bit. One of the things that we do is with high volatility games, if you're ever going to play a high volatility game, which of course is most of the floor, it is medium high volatility these days, you should take into account when going in there to set a limit on how many spins or how much money you plan to put into those games. Because the only way that you can come out ahead on those games is to get incredibly lucky and get a bonus round or a progressive really fast. If you don't, those games are designed to just get you hooked and drawn in, so you just keep putting more hundreds in. You just keep feeding it and feeding it because the bonus is due, right? It's not due. But you feel like the bonus is due. I got to get this. I'm not getting off this machine until I get the bonus. Because once I get the bonus, maybe I'll get back up to even. Guys, these games are designed to trick you like that. And so whenever you're approaching those games, put a limit on how many spins. On high volatility games, I usually do $100 and then I'm out. If I don't hit the bonus round, screw it, I'm out. I'll go play something else. But just understand that by bouncing around to different machines, you're not testing anything. You can't just say, oh, this is the only one, this is the only game that gave me a cherry on the pay line, so this is the winning machine. That is a falsehood. And you'll get into trouble by thinking that. So don't do it like that, if that makes sense.
Very well said.
Yep.
And we have a very special guest with us today, WBG.
WBG in the
WBG is here. Welcome in, WBG. Hey, if WBG, if you have a question, WBG's question of the day, we would love to answer that for you. But welcome in, WBG.
Although if anybody could do 100,000 spins, it'll be those guys.
Yeah, WBG and Vegas Matt, they could do
That's right. Absolutely.
Oh, man. Let's see. Here's a good one from Paul, and we have a lot of questions backed up, guys. So we'll do our best to try to answer as many as we possibly can. Paul says, "Any recommendations for places to gamble outside of Nevada?" Now, with this one, I've always been a big proponent of, listen, the United States is a big place. There's gambling just about everywhere. In most states, you can find gambling, and there's some great casinos out there. I've been to beautiful casinos in Oregon, California, Indiana. There's a lot of good casinos out there. Do I have a specific recommendation? Not really, but get out there and explore because there's a lot of really good stuff out there. WinStar, I know that's, Mark's go-to is WinStar down there in Oklahoma. So there's a lot of good places out there. And let's see, I'll take another one here. Let's see. Min says, in your honest opinion, this will be a fun one for both Mark and I to answer. I can't talk tonight. In your honest opinion, what do you think is the most underrated game and the most overrated slot game, and why? I think I can guess what you're going to say, but I would still love to know. Thanks. Well, so I would have to say the most overrated game is Huff and Puff. I would have to say that is the most overrated game. And actually, they have a new version coming out called Huff and I've Had Enough. And I think that title is really, really funny. I was surprised. I think they maybe did that on purpose. But
wait, you're not
Huff
trolling?
And Puff,
that's
no,
serious?
That's real.
That's
what
they're
real.
calling it?
That is a real game. Huff and I've had enough. Yeah, that is their new version. Oh my God. But yeah, Huff and Puff, way overrated. The most underrated, I would have to say, in terms of creativity, in terms of dynamics, in terms of decent returns, I would have to say it's probably a toss-up between Mystery of the Lamp or Hot Pots. I think both of those deserve a little more credit. I was excited to see them coming out with a new version of Hot Pots, and they actually did a really good job of it. But those I think those are pretty underrated, especially Mystery of the Lamp. Mystery of the Lamp is a lot of fun. It has a lot of good dynamics. You don't feel like you're getting screwed by just getting one bonus. In a lot of games that are like the triple pop games, you feel like if you just get one to pop, it's like, oh, I got the shitty bonus. But right. Mystery of the Lamp, they're all pretty good. So I think Mystery of the Lamp is pretty underrated, but I'm excited to hear what Mark has to say about underrated and overrated games. Let's hear it.
You guys are probably going to kick me out of here for this one, but most overrated. Let's do the overrated. It's going to be Dragon Link.
Dragon Link?
I know, guys. You could. I understand. That's just my personal take on it. I don't know why. There's so many other games that have hold and spin features that I think are even better than that, but people they love the Dragon Link and Dragon Cash. Underrated, it's got to be Top Dollar Grand, guys. I still feel like this is the best version of Top Dollar that they've come out with in a long time, and unfortunately people are not playing it and they're being yanked from casinos. I had them. We went to Vegas last year, and they had it at Excalibur. They had it at Mandalay Bay. They had it at New York, New York. They had it at MGM Grand, and they had it at Park MGM. Last, I guess we went in January, all gone from all those places. They've converted them to other games. And so now there's only a couple other places that I know of on the Strip that has it. And it's unfortunate because I think they did the math just right on that game. It feels very comfortable to play. The jackpots goes off fairly frequently at the top. It doesn't feel like a grind. And for whatever reason, people just, they didn't want to play it. I think it's probably because people didn't understand they have to bet 10 credits. And they have a lot of those casinos deployed them with dollar minimum, so that's $10 a bet. So I think maybe it scared a lot of people off. That's just, speculation. But I thought it was one of the best games that's come out that was just hugely underrated. Just people just didn't get attracted to it. So I'm sad. It's going to be going away. I don't still think it's going to stick around very long.
I do have one more honorable mention. And Mark, I'll see if you agree with me on this one. This is a stretch. Okay, it's a stretch, but I think that this game is probably pretty dang underrated. And I'm surprised. I know they've talked about coming out with a new version of it, but I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner, and that's piggy banking. I think piggy banking, just the dynamic on it is so fun. It's a great game. The line hits are actually not bad on it. You get pretty good line hits. The wilds are pretty frequent on it. I like piggy banking. I think that one is also underrated, but that's just my honorable mention there has to be for piggy banking.
That one's always destroyed me. I've never done good on it. Just never done good on that one. All right. Good question, though. That's a good thought-provoking question.
Very good.
Let's see. Teresa says, I live in Vegas. I see loose slots advertised as the casino choose the programming. Oh, boy. Well, you opened up the can of worms on this one.
Loaded question.
Here it comes. You ready, guys? This is where I'll start yapping too much. Sorry. So here's the thing about loose slots. So casinos do have control over the payback percentage that they set on the machines. Now, they can only pick from anywhere from 3 to 10. It depends on the game. But most of them, in fact, all of them start around 83%. I've had hundreds of machines come through here, guys, from all different casinos and all different jurisdictions, and there hasn't been one that had a setting lower than 83%. I think most manufacturers don't even make them lower than that, the games. But they do get to pick. And typically what casinos do is they pick based on the denomination. So the lower the denomination, the lower the payback percentage is going to be. But it's not like this fine-tuned thing where they can just drag a little slider and stuff like that. It's like they have to pick 83%, 86%, 90%, 93%, whatever. So what they do is they can say that they have the loosest slots anywhere, and that could be because they just have one slot machine in there that's set at 98% or something like that. And that's good enough for them to advertise that they have the loosest slots. But here's the real thing, guys, is that even if you were going to Vegas for the weekend and somebody told you, hey, New York, New York, and this is speculation. Don't follow me. Somebody says New York has the highest payback percentage anywhere in Vegas. So you're more inclined to go there to play for that weekend thinking, oh, this is where I need to play because they have the loosest slots. I'm going to be a winner. I'm going to hit jackpots. It's going to be great. The truth of the matter is that you could go there and spend thousands of dollars and get wrecked and then go across the street to MGM Grand, which let's just say has the lowest payback percentage on the Strip. And within the first 3 spins, you hit the biggest jackpot of your life. That is a scenario that could occur. Just because you find out that a casino has the loosest slots or that it's a casino that pays a little bit more than other, it's a very, very, very long-term event. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of spins before that determination can be made. So I get so much pushback from this in the industry, especially in our comments and stuff, where people are like, why do you keep saying that payback percentage doesn't matter?
It doesn't.
It does matter, but in the long term. This is like you going to your local casino for every 5 days you go there. Then it makes a difference because you've been going there every 5 days for the last 5-10 years. You want to go to the one that's going to pay you back more because over time you will see a slight improvement over your returns, right? But anybody just going to Vegas for the weekend, you are never going to know what the payback percentage is on any machine that you're playing anywhere. It's not a big enough sample size. But what you can do, and I'm almost done with my rant here, what you can do is identify volatility, how the game gets to that payback percentage. That is something that you absolutely can see in the short term. So how do you do that? And this is what I've been saying recently because I think it's a really good way to do it. Watch YouTube, guys. Watch people that play this game for long sessions, 10, 15 minutes of straight play, or go live and play the game. You can learn a lot by watching that. Anytime a new Huff and Puff game comes out, before I put any money into it, I do a lot of watching. I watch as much content as I can. And guys, I'm not talking about TikToks. I'm not talking about YouTube Shorts where you see the hundreds of thousands of dollars in jackpots. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the long form videos where you can really see how the game plays in the short term, because that is not controlled by payback percentage. That is controlled by the volatility of the game, how the game was designed. And so that's what you really should be focusing on. So anytime you see loosest and tightest and I don't ever play at Aria, I have the tightest slots, that doesn't mean anything in the short term for you. They're probably playing a high volatility game and they got wrecked and they're blaming it on the casino for setting the payback percentage low. But that's not what actually happened. All right, so that's actually the short version of that question being answered. I can go much longer than that, but I mean, it's important that I think people understand. And Brantley, if you don't mind, I am going to plug a video
from
our channel.
Please do.
Where I did this experiment where I set a machine that you find, it was double diamond. I mean, you can find it at most casinos these days. I set a machine at 4 different payback percentages, 83%, I think it was 88%, 92, and then 98, way at the other end. And I did 100 spins on each of them. I filmed the whole thing, no cutting, anything like this. And the first round, the best one was the one set at 88%, not 98%. And then I did it another time. I did another 100 spins right after that. And the second time, the 2 lowest were paying back more to the player than what the casino actually held. So how does that doesn't make any sense. Why did it do that? It's because it's a short term and you have something called variance. It's in statistics. You have a variance that takes a long time to flatten out. You can do a lot of spins and then calculate all that data together to get that payback percentage number. But in the short term, anything can happen, right? So it's if you want to go, I don't know what I called it, just search Gamble Smart payback percentage. I think you'll probably find it. It's a fascinating video. Not many people watched it, but I think it's important that people see, like, we're not just making this stuff up, guys. Like, I'm not just telling you to ignore payback percentage because I have some kind of gut feeling about it. No, this is proof. This is proof of why it doesn't matter in the short term, but volatility does. All right.
I think, I think the biggest thing too is a lot of people get wrapped up in RTP and payback percentage because I think it's one of the only universally known industry terms. Obviously the casino business and slots go very in depth. And I think a lot of people are just, what's the payback percentage, thinking that the easiest way to summarize it is payback percentage does not do you any benefit to know in your individual session, because it takes millions and millions and millions of spins to get to that point. That is the long-term aggregate using the law of large numbers that the machine will eventually come within, not even on the nose, come within, what is it, Mark? Only like 2% that it has to come within or something? It's a percentage.
It's 10% after, well, it's 90.
Yeah.
It's 90% confidence after 10 million spins.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And hey, we do have a super chat here, MDL Garza. Thank you so much, $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. Advice from you both has been quite helpful. And my slot play in Vegas gets better each time I go, 3 times a year. Are 2 credit Pinball and Top Dollar less volatile than the 3 credit? I think Mark said 3 real are bigger LA South. Mark, you want to answer that one?
Let's see. Are 2 credit Pinball and Top Dollar less volatile than the 3 credit? Oh, I think you're talking about the difference between the 2 credit max bet and 3 credit max bet on both of those. So the answer is no. Especially on pinball, the bonus round actually averages out. Even if you get 5 or 4 balls, it averages out. If you get 5, you're going to see a lot more 10s and 15s. But if you get 4 balls, you're going to see more 25s and stuff. But it all averages out because I think it's what, 84 credits is like the average bonus round in pinball, but it doesn't matter if you're betting the 2 or the 3 credits. What you're getting out of the extra credit there is extra money on your line hits, and then also extra money on the top line 3 double diamonds. Top dollar is slightly different, only on the double top dollar that I'm aware of. Double top dollar, the average bonus offers go up by about 5 credits if you bet 3 instead of 2. But I still don't think that's enough to bet that extra, because it's an average, right? It's an average of 5 credits. You still can get burned. So I think it's still better to play the 2 credits, especially in high denomination. If you guys are playing that, just stick to the 2 credits, get the bonus round, and be happy with, what you get. So I think that's what you were asking. Thanks for the super chat.
Very good question, and yeah, thank you so much. All right, I'll let you take one, Mark.
Oh Lord, let's see. Robert H says, gambler's intuition plays a big part in what and how to play. Sadly, it takes time to learn certain slots and bonuses and how they play. Y'all really help the layman in how to pick games. Guys, we get one comment a day where somebody's like, gamble smart is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You can't gamble smart. It's impossible. Let me just propose this to you guys. Would you walk up to a blackjack table and start playing if you know nothing about the game? Why would you put money on the line and do that? And I know that a lot of people feel that slots, well, they're dumb machines. It's about putting money in, pushing the button, and hope for the best. In the end of the day, it is. But understanding how the game mechanics work, the volatility, what you can expect in a short-term play on that game is highly, incredibly important. And I wish more people would focus on that before just throwing money in and going crazy. Not betting enough. I see people doing that all the time. We talked about that earlier, where people are not betting enough to get the top dollar bonus. You're destroying your payback percentage return, maybe 30% worth, because you're never going to get the bonus. And that's what the whole point of the game is. And so it's like, it really is important that you guys take the time to learn the game, either by watching somebody else play, go through the game rules, or playing it but at very low denomination and credit amounts to kind of get a feel for the game and understand how it was designed to play. You can gamble smart if you just focus on these things. And I wish more people would, because we see it. And Brantley sees it. Dave sees it. My buddy Dave on our channel. I mean, we see it so many times. Somebody was sitting next to us with an old school top dollar betting 1 credit. And I'm like, he got the bonus symbol to land, and he just looks up. And then he called the attendant and said, what happened? And I'm not calling him a dummy, but it's like, this is the case where you have to read the game rules and understand what you're doing before you start feeding money into it. Why would you not want to do that? You're putting money on the line, guys. Like, learn the games. Learn what you're playing. Anyway. But thank you, Robert. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We both try really hard on that.
Great question. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And here's an interesting one. I can answer this. I know this was asked a couple times already. Drew says, hey, Brantley and Mark, I often see casino workers stick their badge into random slot machines, press a bunch of numbers, and walk away. What are they doing? Well, I can tell you exactly what they're doing, because obviously as a casino worker myself, I actually did this, and there is a reason. So in casinos, there are zones or areas for employees. Some places call them zones, some places call them areas, whatever. Casinos are very micromanaging of their employees. One of the casinos that I worked at, basically, like, they wanted to check to make sure that we were in our zone doing our job. So the player tracking system is the easiest, quickest thing. So we could stick our employee card in there, put in our PIN, and be like, there, I've checked in. I'm in my area. I'm doing my job, or I've checked this machine, or I've checked this bank. Like, a lot of casinos, they want employees to walk around to make sure that there aren't games that have like low paper or anything like that. So employees will go around and they'll be like, all right, well, this machine's okay. It has paper in it. There you go. It's basically just a system of checks to make sure that the employees are actively doing it. Not a lot of casinos do, but some do. One that I worked for did that. Has nothing to do with the game at all. It's more of just, it's a management thing. It's a management oversight thing. It freaks players out all the time. We saw it all the time. They're like,
what are they doing? They're changing the odds.
What did you do to that machine? It's like, it's crazy to, like, I'd come back from a lunch break and I'd be like, okay, I'm back from my break. put my card in a random machine, put my number in so that management could see that I was back in my area that I was assigned to be in. And then, inevitably there'd be a player like, oh my God, what did you do to the machine? Did you change the odds? Is it hot? Is it cold? It's like, I'm checking in after lunch. Like, that's what it is. It's not deep. It's
I don't know if
not
you
deep.
guys have ever seen in like office buildings and stuff, they have this little, they'll be on the walls. It's just a little circle metal thing. The next time you're in an office building, look for it because they're all over the place. You just never notice them. That's for the security guards. They have a little thing on their key and they just punch it like that. And it's the same thing. It's letting them know that they went through that area. It's accountability kind of thing. Same thing here. I think Walmart uses QR codes now. You'll see on Walmart there's QR codes all over the place. It's the same thing. They're just checking in, making sure they were there.
It's not that deep. People think it's not.
Simple,
it's like I was just coming back from my lunch break, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take two real quick here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir George says 10 million spins on average. How long does that take? I have no idea. But it's not. It'll never probably get that far. But that's what they do in the simulation testing. It's a little overkill, right? Because most games probably you'll get about 1 million spins. I think I had one come in here from Cosmo that was in service for like 8 years. It was a Top Dollar machine, and I think it had 1.3 million spins on it. And you better believe that payback percentage was right where it was supposed to be after 1.3 million spins. So 10 million is kind of the extreme. You might as well test it like that just to be safe. But yeah. And then the next one, I'll try to make this quick. Staggering Production says, how can an RNG be random if percentage payback is set? Aha, you tricked me. So, I hate saying this. Guys, slot machines are not random. They're not totally random. There's a random part to it, and then there's a control part to it, okay? So the RNG is responsible for creating the random part. So the best way that I have found to explain this is a deck of cards. If you were to shuffle a deck of cards and pull out a card at random, that is what the random number generator is doing. But the control is that it has to be one of those 52 cards, right? It can't just make up anything. It has to pick from one of those 52 cards. And each of those cards are weighted differently in a slot machine. You have, let's say, if we keep it simple like double diamond, there'll be a bunch of blanks in there, of course, but there'll be cherries, there'll be single bars, there'll be more single bars than cherries, there'll be more double bars than single bars, and then there'll probably be just one pick for the double diamond symbol. And so that is the control. That's how it works. So what is random is you don't know. Nobody knows. You don't know the casino, the manufacturer who wrote the game program. Nobody knows what's coming next when you press that spin button. And that has to be true. That part is completely random. It could be a win, it could be a loss, but nobody knows until you press that button. And so that's how they can get the payback percentage, because the control is what that is actually picking from. Hope that helps.
Yeah, very good answer. And also, guys, really quick too, because we got over 700 of you guys watching. We do have still quite a few comments to get through, so I really appreciate your patience. But if we don't get to your question, you can always visit our website, ropethejackpot.com. There is a free-to-use chat forum on there, so you can ask your questions 24/7. You can talk to people in your own area, in an area that you're going to go vacation to if you're trying to find a machine. A lot of resources on this website, so check it out, ropethejackpot.com. Just wanted to toss that in there because we got a lot of questions, and obviously we can't answer every single question, but we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best. I'll go ahead and take two here. Steve says, serious question. When will the casinos ban button/screen slappers, beaters? Why haven't they? Some do. Some casinos will. Yep. Don't start that, Mark.
Sorry.
Some casinos do, but other casinos, I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. I wish they would. I wish more casinos would get on board with that, but some do. Some are ahead of the game. And then this one from Paul, which game is better, Frankenstein or Dracula? So this is a tough one. Honestly, if you want to talk like math-wise, it's relatively the same. But player experience-wise, I would have to say Frankenstein is by far better. Dracula, I hate that stupid wheel. It's stupid, and then every time you get the guy, he's like, "I am Dracula" every single time.
Mhm.
It's kind of annoying. I don't, and which sucks because I saw the game when they announced it at G2E, and I was like, "This is going to be cool. This is like a new iteration of Frankenstein. Like I like Frankenstein. This is going to be cool." For me, the game totally sucks. Just the dynamics of it and everything. That's just me. If I have to pick, it would be Frankenstein. What about you, Mark?
I've only played Dracula once, like the judgment's still out on it. I thought it was pretty fun. I like the game mechanics. I like the fact that every time you get the head, you spin a wheel now. I think it adds a little bit more to it. But again, it's the jury's still out. I've only played it once. It's a brand new game, so I don't know. Those games are fun, but man, the volatility is risky, and we were talking about this on our live, that one of the things that casinos or manufacturers are doing is increasing the volatility without making it feel like they did it. And they do this by putting in more teasing, more, you get the "it's alive" and you felt like you're going to get something and then you don't. But because something occurred, it's feeding into your psyche thinking that this game is actually hitting more frequently than I expected, but you didn't actually hit anything. And so that's one of the mechanics that, manufacturers are always looking at. How can we increase the volatility without making it feel like we did? And so I think Dracula is probably like that, but it's a little too soon to tell.
Yeah. All right.
I guess is it my turn? I have no idea. Let's see.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just saw this one come in. I'll make this quick, Brantley. I promise.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Restrel says, "What is the process for a casino changing the RTP of a machine?" So, it does differ based on casinos, things like that. The one thing people need to keep in mind, though, is even the most sophisticated casinos. We're talking about the Arias, the Bellagio's, the ones that have very sophisticated networking equipment. There's a limit to how much they can push to a game to change it. And people need to understand that casinos, it's not like the Wild West like it used to be. They have to notify gaming control that a change is going to be made. And in a lot of cases, gaming control actually has to come out. We actually heard from one of our members actually caught one of the New York casino slot techs leaving for a shift, and she happened to ask him, like, "Hey, what's the process? Just curious, what's the process for changing?" And he says that so gaming control has to come out. They have to unseal the machine, and basically what this is that they open the machine and then remove the security tape that is placed over whatever the secure port or secure door that accesses the special area inside of a CPU, inside of a slot machine. And they basically break the seal. And then they open it up. And in a lot of cases, at least at New York, even though New York has the keys to open it, the gaming control officer has to request the keys, and he has to be the one to use them. Same thing for whatever the key that needs to be used to make any changes. They have to check it out. It's a checkout procedure. There's a serial number on these keys. They have to check it out. They have to give it to the gaming control, and they're the ones that put it in. So, long story short, it's a very arduous process. It takes a long time. And thinking that a casino is going to go through that process every weekend when California is going to be coming in is ridiculous. They're never going to do that. And even, like we talked about before, even in the short term, it's not going to make a dent in their spreadsheets for that short term. So it's a very big process in order to do that. And I will say, and the final answer that we got from this slot tech is like, once they put the game on the floor and they install it, that's the last time they change it. He said they may do one change every couple of years where they'll change the entire floor by 1%, but he says it's very rare for them to do that. They're making so much money off these damn things. They don't need to micromanage it. It is. The way they make more money is to clear out more tables and put more slot machines in. That's what they're thinking about doing. So
the slots are always going to make the casino money. Very good question.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Quick one here, Dave. Is it possible to have the casino withhold taxes for me when I get a hand pay? Yes, it is. Most casinos will not do this by default. You just simply have to ask. So like when they come and they say, oh, congratulations, all this stuff, just say, I want 30% or I want 20% withheld. Just tell them that. They will do it. It's easy. They can do it right on the jackpot kiosk. It is absolutely something that they can do. And speaking of jackpots, Slot Rush Fabs says, do all casinos have self-pay if you win a jackpot? No, they don't. And there's a lot of casinos out there that they only have self-pay in the high limit room. Fountain Blue is one of them. So even though Fountain Blue is the newest casino in Las Vegas and they have all of the newest stuff, they only have self-pay in the high limit room. Once you go out onto the floor, there is no self-pay. So, and I would actually have to say that most casinos don't have self-pay. It's still a relatively new thing. It is, it can be good, it can be bad. It depends on how much you play. If you're a super high limit player, if you're betting, $1,200 a spin, and every single spin is a jackpot, then yeah, it's a handy thing to have. But I think it's something that most gamblers, the average gambler, really doesn't need. But it's pretty selective on where it's at least right now. I'm sure we'll see it grow here in the future. But good question.
Yeah. Head Mechanic says, if machines are independent, then why do they communicate through network? So it's true. Most casinos, I don't know of any at this point, most casinos have all their machines networked. This is how they can tell the performance of the machine in real time. They can tell the coin in, coin out, how often it's playing. If you have your player's card in, who is playing. They can remote disable the machine, so if they need to put it out of service. There was another question in here I started, but I'll go ahead and answer that. So if the casino closes at 4 a.m., they can lock everything out. They can put them all out of service. They can do that from the back room. But here's it is, guys. Listen, just because it's networked, Brantley's already laughing. Just because it's networked doesn't mean that they have access to monkey with the game mechanics. They can't. It's jailed off. It's a completely separate system. And that's built in by design by the manufacturers, and it's audited and tested to make sure that is in fact true. So just because you hear all this, the casino is networked and they have a server in the back room, of course they do. Most casinos do that now. But the one thing they can't do is monkey with the odds remotely. It still requires physical access to the machine and gaming control approval for it to be actually put in place. It's important. It's really, really important. I hope people understand that. That casinos cannot just watch you and make changes whenever they want to get you to start losing or to get you to start winning. And this is why I like playing at licensed casinos, because I know all this protection's in place and it's for me. So don't go to unlicensed casinos and expect that same experience. You're not going to find it. But yeah, good question.
Yeah, good question. Good answer, Mark. Let's see. The dude says when a casino puts a new slot on the floor, which they own, so thank you for clarifying that, how long do you think it takes to pay off the slot? Usually, I will say this, if the casino is buying the machine, if they're going to own it, most of the newest cabinets coming out, it's actually a pretty fading process that a casino would actually buy a machine. Typically, if they buy a machine, it's usually an older machine. Like, let's say, for example, Pinball and Top Dollar. Those are still very, very popular. They are still hot commodities. Casinos are still actively going out trying to find those older games to bring in. Most likely, they're buying it through a third-party vendor. Paying those off, they could probably pay off within a couple of days, if not sooner, depending on what the denomination is. But your newer style games, your Hot Pots, your Frankenstein, most of those, the game maker doesn't actually sell. They just lease them, and that's the most common route. But typically, if a casino is buying a machine, it's going to be an older machine. They probably bought in bulk. Probably isn't going to take them too long to pay those off. I couldn't put an exact time frame on it because it would depend on, denomination, play level, all of that. But it wouldn't take too long. But good question.
Yeah, very good. This is earlier. Tony Ann, hope you're still around. Why does it seem like if you hit a bonus within a minute of sitting in a machine, the bonus is a Santo? It's just perception. There's so many of these different, we call it confirmation bias, where it's like you feel like there's something that just occurred, and then it repeats itself, and then your brain latches onto that, saying that must be what's happening. Where it's human nature. We all fall for that. We're the one thing that humans is very good at pattern recognition, but what they're not very good at is statistics. And so whenever you combine those together, which is what a slot machine is, it's very easy for people to fall into the trap thinking that they have found some kind of special sauce to a game. If I play it within 5 spins and get a win, that means that game is a paying machine. I'm going to stay on it because 4 out of the 5 times that I've done it, that's what's occurred. So it has to be true, and it's not. And it'll exploit. Eventually, it will exploit you by thinking that way.
Yep.
And so, just because you did hit a bonus within the first minute and it gave you a bad one, that was not by design. It just you happened to get a bad bonus, not because of how many spins that you did. Because again, every spin on a slot machine is completely separate and independent from anything that has happened previously. There are a few exceptions, but it's mostly with like the must-hit buys and the advantage play stuff. But most slot machines, whatever has occurred in the past has no impact or bearing on what is happening in the future. So just because you see 3 double diamonds on the machine, don't not play it because you think, well, it just paid out. So I definitely don't want to play that machine because it just paid out. It doesn't matter. It's the same odds. It's the exact same odds that when you push that button again, you're going to get 3 double diamonds. The odds have not changed. Everything's the same.
And I'll just add something really quick to this because this was something that came up before, and people loved it. But talking about things like do 5 spins, or like my first bonus was crappy, so my second one has to be good, and the machine knows who I am and all that. The machine doesn't give a shit who you are, and it doesn't know the difference. It does not. The machine doesn't even know what 5 spins is unless it is its first 5 spins. It does not know. You might sit down and you might put your card in and think, okay, I'm going to do 5 spins and see if the machine gives me a taste. The machine doesn't give a shit who you are. It doesn't know that it's fits your 5 spins in. It doesn't keep track of that. So just always be careful and cautious with stuff like that. But all right, I'll take a couple here. Joseph on Facebook says, what's the difference between lottery terminals and slot machines? The biggest difference is, the easiest way to put this is, with a slot machine, it is you versus the machine. The machine is making the determination. As soon as you push that button, it's going to generate an independent random result and spit it out to you. When we're talking about things like bingo, lottery, HHR, stuff like that, it is not you versus the machine. It is you versus something else. So in terms of lottery, you're basically playing against a lottery pool. That's what it is. It is a pooled prize, just like HHR is. It is a pooled prize, and you are playing with other people. Lottery machines also, they pull in it's like buying a scratcher ticket at a gas station. You walk into the gas station, you say, hey, I would like to buy a lottery ticket. They turn around, they pull a lottery ticket off the reel, they tear it off, they hand it to you, you scratch it, you reveal if you won a prize or not. The sequence of that has already been determined, but that doesn't occur on a slot machine. A slot machine is making its own independent random result. Easiest way to describe it is, with a slot machine, it's you versus the machine. With any other type of gaming, it's you versus something else, whether that is a game of bingo, whether that is HHR parimutuel wagering pool, whether that is a lottery. That's the biggest and easiest way to describe that. And also had to put this one up there. Very good comment here from Matt. Reality is casinos do not need to cheat on slot machines. 99% of the players keep on playing. And that right there is the biggest thing. It is the biggest obstacle why people fail at slots. This one comment right here, this one sentence, is the single biggest reason why people are not successful at slots. You don't win because you play. You win because you stop. And there are so many times, and we've all done this. I've done this. Mark's done this. Every slot player has done this, where you have gotten up to a level that you're like, wow, I've turned $100 into $500. I'm going to keep playing.
That's right.
And you walk away negative $300.
Yeah.
If everybody would get to a point where if you set evaluation points, if you set stopping points, and that's the biggest thing, it's all up here. And you know, going into that, building on that, the biggest thing about slot machine strategy, it has nothing to do with controlling the machine. It has everything to do with controlling yourself. And if more people controlled themselves, if you got into the mentality of this is my low, this is my high, this is my evaluation point, those three things right there, if you do that, you can be more successful at slot machines. Very good comment. Thank you very much for that, Matt. Mark, I don't know if you want to build on that at all, but very
that's
good.
Perfect. I call it psychological warfare, guys. Like when you go into a casino, that's exactly what it is. You can go in there with the best intentions and have a plan in place, but as soon as you get in there and you start seeing all the crazy slot machines calling your name, asking you to play, and all that kind of stuff, it's very easy to lose control. And that is all by design. That's why casinos are as profitable as they are with slot machines, is because of that very reason. And so what Brantley is saying is absolutely right. Like, you guys have got to be in. I call it you being the boss of the casino. You need to walk in there like you own the place. You're not going to let anybody kind of trick you into playing something that you shouldn't be playing or don't want to play or should stop playing, things like that. You need to be in full control and ignore all of the stuff. I'm talking about the free play, the free rooms, the slot tournaments that every hour we're going to draw a name out of a hat as long as you're playing. Like, all that stuff is designed for one reason only, and to keep your butt in that chair and spinning and putting money in. Because the longer you play it, the more you're going to lose, just like Brantley said. And so you guys need to educate yourselves on how to do that when you walk in there and have confidence. Like, I have more confidence now walking in the casino than I ever did in my entire life, because I know about all that stuff. I know what's going to be thrown in my face when I get there. And I know that I need to put limits in place on things that I do to prevent me from losing control when I go in there. Because it's so easy to do. Even the best of us who have all the best intentions and think they're the most disciplined people in the casino, man, just wait for the right formula to happen, where you have friends with you, or they give you extra free play that you weren't expecting. Whatever the case is, there will be some special formula that will hit you and you'll lose all control. It happens to all of us. And so identifying that and putting something in place and realizing what they're trying to do is to keep you playing and to not leave. Why do you think there's no windows anywhere? I mean, this stuff is all by design. It's all by design. So please, guys, please start focusing on that, and you will become a better gambler. Because you cannot, if you play slots long enough, you cannot win. But if you play it and you play it smart and you know when to get up and just leave, even if you're $10 up, if you keep doing that, you will be a winner ultimately.
I will say this: we have right now, we have 775 people watching this show, and I will say this, and I want all 775 of you out there watching to go tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. If you do that one thing that we just talked about, that one thing, over time you will be successful at the casino. You will be successful at the casino. It is 90%, like Mark said, psychological warfare. 90% of it is up here. Don't focus on, if you're trying to focus on, like I always say, if you're trying to focus on, what's the payback percentage, what's the RTP, if I go stay here, I'm going to have better odds than here. That is, you're in the wrong area. You're in the wrong area. Come back to here and you'll be more successful at slots. That's the best way I can describe it. So everybody out there, go tell a friend. Hopefully to subscribe to both of our channels, Gamble Smart,
that'd be great,
and also Cowboy Slots. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, I'll let you grab one, Mark, and then we are over our hours, so we'll probably wrap up here soon.
Okay, sounds good. Louisiana Casino Guy says, so if you say Top Dollar normally hits Top Dollar and say 45 spins average, does that not make it countable either, and not counting spins off? So it's not countable. So here it's an average. So do this. I want everybody to do this. Everybody has a deck of cards around. So we know that pulling out an ace of spades is 1 in 52, right? That's a little bit more than a top dollar average. But just try to, while you're watching something on TV, just shuffle, try to pull out an ace. Shuffle, try to pull out an ace of spades. And just keep doing that until you pull it out and see how many times it took. It might take 30. It might take 90. It might take 150. It might take 3. You might do it on the first time. But the more you do that, I mean, if you do that thousands of times, I'm not telling you to do that because wow. But if you did that thousands of times, the closer and closer and closer the average is going to show itself that it's 1 in 52. That's exactly the same thing. When we say the average on the pinball is 1 in 64, and we say the average on double top dollar is 1 in 41, it's that. It's an average. That's what it would average out, but it is certainly not countable. And we don't want you to think that way, that, well, Mark said you should be able to get pinball in 64 spins, so I'm going to do 64 spins, and then it doesn't happen. You're like, well, what the hell is that guy saying? Because it's an average. It could take a lot longer than that, but we've had first spin pinballs before. Why didn't that take 40 or 64 spins? So try to think of it that way. We all are terrible at math, but that's what these things are. It's all math and statistics playing out in front of your face. And if you just learn a little bit, you don't need to become calculus majors or anything like that, but if you just learn the basic concepts of what statistics is and how they relate to slot machines, then things like this will make sense to you. And I think the practical example of a deck of cards will kind of help make that connection for you guys. Just try to think of it that way.
Well said, Mark.
Yep.
And kind of building on that, UFC Mark said, just seen someone bet 1,800 on one spin and they won 340K. It's possible. It's possible. It does happen.
Absolutely.
Not probable. Probable and possible are two separate things. So
That's
just
right.
always remember that. I know a couple of you guys have asked about thoughts on the King Kong Skull Island. I haven't played it yet, Mark. Have you?
I like it.
You like it? Okay, the Nugget just got it, so we'll have to go try it.
Do a video on it because it's a lot of fun. I don't know how good it is volatility wise, but it's a lot of fun. It's different. It's like a 3x3 grid. It reminds me of did you ever play the South Park game? It's kind of like that.
No.
Okay. It's kind of like that. It's a little bit different. I like the fact that they put a lot of luck has arrived, anticipation type stuff in there too, where the Kong at the top is, you think he's about to do something, but he doesn't, and he tricks you and stuff. It's good. It's a good game. It's well designed. I recommend it.
I like those features. I like those.
Me too.
And we got to pull this up. Ben says, I work for one of the top 3 slot machine companies and work with the studio who designed them. The actual math sheets for each game is massive. Yes, they are. But pretty much everything you've said has been bang on. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that.
Thank you, Ben.
You know, and that's one thing, guys, too, is you're dealing with your money here and gambling. If you honestly want to learn about this stuff, if you want to learn how all this stuff works, as Mark always says, if you want to learn how all this stuff works, make sure that you're getting your information from a reliable source that actually has experience doing the work. It's a good time to put that out there. I've seen a lot of folks that, you know, they come across as, you know, we're you know, they're a slot guru. They have no actual experience in doing this, guys. So just please, always remember that. Get your information from actual reliable sources of people that have done this stuff before. So, and I don't know if you want to add anything onto that, Mark, but
don't ever pay for this information. Ever.
Never.
Everything that Brainley and I say is public information. You just got to dig for it. And that's what we've done from experience of being in it, but also digging to find stuff that backs all this stuff up. It's boring. It's boring stuff, but there are PDFs out there that you can read about the mechanics of slot machines, how they work, how what we describe with probability and statistics, how they are designed to work. It's hard to get through those, and so that's why we exist, to try to break that down, put it in a way that you guys can understand, but never pay for a system, never pay for a book that is going to reveal secrets on how to win. I cannot stress that enough, because if they were that good at all of this stuff and they knew a system that could beat the casino and make you come out a winner, then they would not need to charge you anything for this information. They would be in the casino doing this themselves 24/7, getting kicked out of every casino from West Coast to East Coast. That's what they would be doing. But they're not. And you should question that. So please be careful out there. Never pay for any of this information. There is no system that you can buy and learn that will just guarantee you to win at slot machines. It just, anybody who's telling you that is got something to sell you. So please be careful.
And that's the thing. It's unfortunate that we have to say that and put that out there, but there are a lot of folks out there that that they are charging to basically they're trying to make money off of people's emotions. So just be very careful about that. And then there's also people out there that they really have no clue what they're talking about, that try to present information as fact, and it is not fact. Mark and I, this is not just we don't just do this for YouTube. This is our passion. This is our career field. We have experience actually doing this stuff. So just, again, like Mark said, don't ever try to pay anybody for slot information. There's not a secret trick. All Mark and I are doing is bringing the information that is already publicly available to you, that you could easily find someplace else, and putting it together in an easy to understand format, so you don't have to go digging through all the documents yourself to do it. So, I know somebody just asked for Mark's YouTube channel. I'll put that link up there again. Go ahead, Mark. I know you've got a question pulled up.
No, it's a question, just a comment, and I appreciate this, Paragon. I'm a technical compliance manager for a tribal gaming commission. Everyone, please listen to these guys and spread their information. They are telling you the truth. So thank you. Thank you for posting that.
Appreciate it.
We're trying. It's an uphill battle, but we're trying.
And I think this is I think it's probably a good stopping point. I think we tried to get through as many questions as we could tonight, guys. Again, I'll put this up here in case you if you have more questions, additional questions, please go to this website, ropethejackpot.com. It's 100% free to use chat forum. I know Mark's on there as well, so we'll be happy to answer questions. There's also thousands of other folks on there that know a lot of good information to help you guys out. Again, 100% free to use. Tomorrow is our Sunday show. It is the last Sunday in April, which means it is high limit day. So we're working with a high limit budget in tomorrow's stream. So be sure to tune into that. And also, please do go follow Mark's channel, Gamble Smart, Gamble Safe. It's a great channel. Link is in the description of this video, as well as there in the chat window as well. Mark, do you have anything to wrap up on?
No, I think that's great. Thanks for having me on, and hope to see you guys over at our channel. We have a lot of fun there too.
Yeah, and they're almost to 100,000 guys. So we want everybody to
guys,
go subscribe. Go subscribe. They're almost to 100,000.
We're trying so hard.
We got to get Mark his play button award. So go subscribe to Gamble Smart. But
please, guys.
Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for coming in and joining us tonight. We really do appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on both of our channels, and we will see you again next episode. Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. Be safe out there.